right, I'm going to look at these Q&A here. So someone said they've tried to research SAT scores for admitted students in 24 and 23, but haven't found a good source of data. I would say you'd want to look at the student profile from a specific college to see what their students from those years, what the student profile looked like. So not just generally, but at a certain college, what the last couple of classes looked like. That's a way just to get a sense if, the student or your student is sort of in the running, good candidate at that college, or is it a reach, is it likely or possible? And then the letters of recommendation, usually the question is, should we send the copies and keep the original? But the way that process works is that the teachers, for example, they send the recommendations directly to the school and do not send it to you, the student, so that you don't have a copy. I mean, sometimes they might give you a copy, but they are sending the original to the colleges, and they don't have to give the student a copy. Yeah, so someone's asking another question I receive all the time. Since students are applying to a larger number of schools, how many? And I think the average has been something like 7. But I do see students, especially in areas that we're in here in Massachusetts, where colleges, there are many of those very competitive institutions. And if a student is applying to many of those very competitive selective institutions, usually their school counselor will encourage them to apply to a few more, just because if you're applying to 3 Ivy Leagues or an Ivy League and a couple of other schools that are just as competitive, those are reaches for a lot of students. So you just want to make sure you have enough likely and possible schools on your list. Um, so again, I think the average nationwide is 7, but if you're applying to a lot of competitive schools, you probably want to apply to a few more. Oh yeah, if I submit early decision and my admissions is deferred, what happens with my applications to other colleges? Yes, if you're not accepted early decision, then you're not in that binding agreement. And so you have all your applications out to other colleges, and that's fine. You can be accepted by another college. And so again, does the letter of recommendation have to be someone at the school? It doesn't have to be. It really should be an adult that knows your student well and can speak to them as they are as a student. So that's why many times a teacher is the best person to write the recommendation. But again, if the student, is doing some community service and has another adult who has seen them work and can really speak to the character of the student, it's not that they can't use that person. Just the guideline, again, is sort of junior year teachers, 5 major subjects, and a person who knows the student well. But that knows the student well is also very key. I'm just looking at a few more of these questions. And yes, can one letter of recommendation be used for multiple colleges? Absolutely. So if a student asks a teacher, say, junior year math teacher, to write a recommendation, that recommendation, they can send it to all of the colleges. That's a great question. Okay. So I'm going to move from the admissions piece, and I'm just going to touch upon a, a few things in the financial aid world. But again, I'm going to encourage you that you should, I would encourage you all to attend a full webinar about financial aid because there's a lot of details of information, okay? But just to begin understanding college affordability, one thing you want to look at is the cost of attendance. So how much is going to cost for your student to go to a certain college? Tuition fees, room and board, books, supplies, transportation. Um, and but we're going to have a caveat with that where I want you to learn about financial aid. So what's even more important than the cost of attendance is how much you're going to be expected to pay. Okay, but I'll say that. Another really important piece to know is what financial aid applications are required and when. So you're going to find out what's required for admissions, what's required for financial aid. How does the college do financial aid? Do they have financial aid based on financial need, based on merit, both? So you'll find that out. And you can find that out again on the financial aid website portion of a college's website. And I'll show you where you can start to look for private scholarships as well. All right, so one way you can learn a little bit about how much financial aid you might be able to receive is that every college has something called a net price calculator. And if you type net price calculator into the search bar on a college website, you will get the calculator and you put in information as you will at some point on a financial aid form, and it will ask a lot of questions. And then it will sort of say, okay, an estimate of the financial aid that your student could receive from this college is this. So it will really let you have a sense. So for example, if you're trying to decide, can we apply early decision? I need to make sure I can afford it. You would want to do the net price calculator and see, does it come back and tell you you get this much financial aid? Does that seem like it will make the college affordable for you? That's a really good exercise. You want to have some sense of the affordability piece. Now, it will ask you financial questions because a lot of the aid is need-based, but it may ask SAT scores or grade point average. And what that means, if they're asking you academics, is that means the college probably has some merit-based aid as well, and that your student could receive some money based on their academics. And then this is where you find out what financial aid forms are required. So every college requires the FAFSA, free application for federal student aid. And we're in 2025 now. So the 26-27 FAFSA, that'll be for students starting college September of 26, should be available October 1st, 2025. And it will be asking about your 2024 income. That's the income that will be used. So all colleges require that. And some colleges require an additional form called the CSS profile of the College Board. About 200 colleges require that. And that also will be available October 1st, also asking about your 2024 income. So find out from every college, do they need just the FAFSA or do they need the FAFSA and the CSS profile? Some also might have a college-specific financial aid application right on their website. So check that out too, because that might be for a certain scholarship or something, and you just want to make sure you complete that if that's available. And I want to point out that a lot has changed of late with Massachusetts public institutions. There are some really great programs. Mass Transfer is a program that allows students to start at a community college and transfer to a four-year college, making it much more affordable. And especially even more so now that there's Mass Educate, which is that community college is tuition and fee free for everyone. So that's amazing. Um, that's just huge here in Massachusetts. And in addition to that, it doesn't say it here, but this is another caveat. The state also has um, more financial aid than they've had in decades for students at the four-year colleges and universities as well. The Bridgewater State University, Framingham State University, Westfield State University. Um, there is something called Mass Grant Plus, and it's been expanded. So, families who are sort of low to middle income, and middle income being maybe in the $75,000 range, can actually possibly go to a four-year institution, tuition and fee free as well. So again, no certain income. Everyone's eligible for free community college, but some low and middle income families may be eligible for tuition and fee free four-year institutions as well. And then there's something called tuition break, which allows students to sometimes cross state lines, go to a public institution in a neighboring state, and pay in-state Massachusetts colleges. So you can check that out. And finally, the Massachusetts tuition equity law now allows students who are not eligible to file the FAFSA because of possible immigration issues, maybe they're an undocumented student, that they now can still apply for in-state tuition and state aid by filing a different form that's called the MASFA, MASFA. So that's important to know as well.